Hartzell Propeller leads the industry in composite blade technology. Our composite blades are lightweight, durable, and engineered for cutting-edge performance. Unlike aluminum or wooden blades, they can be restored to their new dimensions over and over again. They're surprisingly easy to repair. This video demonstrates repairs made to a Kevlar blade, specifically on damage done in the tip of the trailing edge. For purposes of demonstration, the blade shown in this video is the Hartzell N7605K. Before you begin your repair, you can find your specific blade model on a sticker on the cylinder of the propeller. For some earlier composites, that sticker will be on the blade. If the blade model isn't obviously identifiable, just check for it on the inspection sheet that came with your prop. Your specific blade model will be identified by the characters after the slash. Hartzell Technical Representative Kevin Ryan has taught countless classes around the globe about the intricacies of composite propeller repair. Today, he'll teach you.
Hi. Before we get started, let's look at some of the materials and tools we're going to need to perform a repair on a Kevlar or a Kevlar carbon hybrid blade. You'll need a coin tapper, a sanding block, and some sandpaper. The repair materials, e-glass, fiberglass. You'll need clean rags, clean lint-free rags. Don't ever use one of these commercially available shop rags. They have oil in them and they'll damage your repair. In this case, we're using cheesecloth. You'll need a marker, Sharpie, a steel straight edge, a piece of 20,000 safety wire, some vacuum bag material, the repair adhesive, a tape measure, scissors, some acid brushes, a grinding or sanding tool like this Dremel or a die grinder, some clamps, C-clamps, some spreader plates, some solvent. This could either be MEK or acetone or denatured alcohol. The appropriate colors of touch-up paint. A DA sander can come in very helpful post-repair. Some tape, and let's not forget your personal safety equipment, dust mask, and a pair of safety glasses.
Before beginning any repair, you'll need to reference the Hartzell Composite Propeller Blade Field Maintenance and Minor Repair Manual. It's more simply identified as Hartzell Manual 170. You'll find Manual 170 on our website. Just type in hartzellprop.com/Manual 170 and the PDF document will download to your computer. Once Manual 170 is open, our first step is to evaluate the damage on your prop and determine whether your prop is airworthy. Click on Damage Evaluation, Chapter 2 of the manual. As you scroll down, you'll see over 3 dozen types of repairs listed. For our repair, we classify our damage as crushed or cracked trailing edge, outboard, and tip regions of the blade. It's number 31 on the list. Click on the appropriate link and you'll end up here. Check out the blade models listed along the top of this grid and find yours. In our case, we'll be referencing the N7605K. Follow that column down to row 31 and we'll see by the X in the box that we have specifications for that repair in the manual. You'll be directed to Table 31, Limits 1. So click on Repair Limits in the navigation and scroll down to 31, Limits 1. On this page, you'll see the airworthy damage limit. The maximum permitted depth is 1/4 inch. The maximum permitted length is 2 inches. Now, a blade with damage less than the limit shown in Table 31, Limits 1, 1/4 inch deep, 2 inches wide, is still airworthy and may continue to be flown. However, it may also be repaired per instructions in this video. This table directs you to Section 5D of the Minor Repair chapter, Chapter 4 of the manual. Click on Minor Repair in your left navigation and then scroll down to click on 5D. Here you'll find all the information you need to make the repair. It's the same instruction you'll see in this video. Now, if the damage is larger than the specs set up in the airworthy damage limits, you'll need to seek our professional help for further work on your prop.
So one of the first things we need to do to assess this damage is do a coin tap inspection. You'll have a large coin, in this case it's a bearing, and you'll tap around the damaged area to determine if the damage is just what's the visible area or whether it's deeper in the blade. So I'll tap on the blade. Here you can hear what the blade would sound like. You want to tap an adjacent area to the blade because different areas of the blade sound different. So because I'm doing this tip and trailing edge area, I will tap out here on the trailing edge to hear what it's supposed to sound like, and then I'll tap over by my damage. You can hear that the sound changes significantly when I tap over the damaged area. Now I'll tap below the damaged area to determine whether that damage is actually beneath the paint that you can't see. I do have some damage that's below the paint. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to remove this paint to determine the extent of the damage. What I have here is a sanding block with some 80 grit sandpaper on it. You can use a little lighter sandpaper if you'd like to, especially if it's your first time. But I'm just going to take this sanding block and I'm going to sand this paint off so I can further assess the damage. So now that I've got the area sanded off, I'm just going to use a little denatured alcohol and wet a clean, lint-free rag and wipe this area off. Now you can use acetone or you can use MEK for this, but on composites it's preferred to use denatured alcohol. Plus, in the confines of this room, it doesn't smell near as bad. All right, so now I can see what my damage is, and now I'm going to recoin tap it to determine the depth of the damage in the blade. We're getting a little bit of damage out here near the tip, but it's not very deep. So what I need to do now is I'm going to tap and determine where that line is, where I get a good tone versus where I start hearing the dull tone. And I'm just going to mark that area with a magic marker. All right, so I've roughly outlined the area that's damaged, and I need to determine how deep that area is, and then compare it to what the airworthy limits are on the blade. So you can use just a regular 6-inch scale and make your measurement. And this appears to be just at 1/4 of an inch, and the length of the damage is about 1.5 inches. So if you remember from the manual, the airworthy damage limits on this blade is 1/4 inch in depth and 2 inches in length. So this blade, in its current condition, is airworthy. It can be flown. We can also choose to repair it, and we'll repair this later.
You may notice throughout this video that other parts of the propeller blade will be shown in various stages of repair, like this, and this. That's because this video was taken over a period of time when we were also creating videos for other blade repairs on 2 other sections of the blade. Of course, none of this affects the repair that we're focusing on here. It's just a simple note for your reference as we continue through the repair process.
Now we're ready to remove the damaged material and get the blade ready for repair. I'm going to use a Dremel tool and just remove the damaged material from the blade. I also am going to make a bevel that's approximately 1/2 inch away from the repaired area so I can bevel the repair into the damage. You'll notice that as I remove the damage, the material toughs up and fuzzes up. That's not a concern. As long as all the damaged material is removed from the blade, that's fine. If there's some tufted up material that's left on the blade, there is no need to remove all that material. Just remove the damaged area, and then you can leave intact material that's still attached to the blade on the blade. It doesn't all have to be removed, just the damaged area. All right, so I've removed the damaged material and I've beveled the area out away from the repair. In order to perform this repair, I'm going to take a piece of vacuum bag material. I'm going to place it over the repaired area. And then I'll use the marker to outline the area where I've removed the material and the area of the bevel. I can then use this as a template to cut out my repair materials prior to performing the repair. You want to make certain you cut out the repair materials prior to mixing the adhesive. The adhesive has a fairly short pot life, so you want to make sure that the pieces are cut out ahead of time so you have the maximum time to work. This is even more important if you have multiple repairs that have to be made. This is my template for my tip repair on the N7605 Kevlar carbon hybrid blade. Because it's important to orient the repair materials properly, and because the weave on this material is so small, it's easier to mark the material ahead of time with some parallel lines that you can use to maintain your orientation when you put the repair materials on. So you just lay your template over the top of the repair material and cut it out. This is the adhesive we're going to use to effect the repairs. The adhesive is mixed by weight. It's 100 parts of part A to 33 parts of part B. Once again, it's mixed by weight. This is a quart kit. This is what we buy at Hartzell that we use for production. There are also smaller quantities of this available commercially. You can get what they call a 50-gram pudding cup. Those parts are already pre-measured. You can just dump the one cup into the other. There's also an Easy Pack. The Easy Pack is 2 packages separated by a plastic separator. You pull the separator apart and you can mix the material in the bag. So if you're going to just do some small repairs, quart kit's probably overkill. Buy some of the pudding cups or the Easy Packs. So I have an acid brush here, and I'm just going to thoroughly paint the surface where my repair is going to be. Then I'm going to take my first repair piece, which is the small piece, that was actually in the damaged area, and I'm going to put it there. And then I'm going to make sure that that piece is thoroughly saturated with the adhesive. Then I'll take my second piece, which covers the beveled out area, and I'll lay that one on. And once again, I'll thoroughly saturate it. Now you may note that when I laid these pieces up, you can see the lines from my piece that's on top, and you can kind of see the lines that I drew on the underside piece. So I keep them at roughly a 45-degree angle. The last piece of the repair is this fiberglass cloth. This fiberglass cloth is much thinner and lighter than the material that I used for the repair. All this is a sacrificial layer. You lay it on top, and then later when we get to the sanding phase, most of that material will get sanded away. And then we'll cover this with a piece of vacuum bag. Now I'm going to take a piece of masonite. I'm going to place that over the repaired area. I'll put another piece on the back side just to protect the blade. And then I'll hold the repair Notice I'm not clamping directly on top of the repair. I've offset the clamps a little bit. All right, our adhesive is cured on this tip repair. So it takes 12 hours to cure at room temperature. So now we're going to remove our clamps and our spreader plates and see how the repairs came out. Looks like the fiberglass material that I put over the top of this has crept up a little bit. That sometimes happens when you put the spreader plates on. The material will walk up a little bit. It's usually not a problem. We'll just have to see how this one sands out. So I'm going to start to sand this repair out. Don't be alarmed. You're going to see some of this fiberglass material fly off as I sand it. That's supposed to happen. It's not all entirely wet, but all the area that covered the repair was wetted. So this is just excess material. I'm going to use 150 grit sandpaper to start out with. Here again, if maybe this is your first time trying this, you may want to go with a little finer grit. And we're just going to remove this area and sand it flat and fare it into the rest of the blade. I've got most of the excess material removed now, so I'm going to switch back to a hand sander. Gives you a little bit more control. Now that the repair has been sanded out, before we paint it, we just want to make sure that we've got a good repair, so we're going to coin tap it, just like we did when we were working on the repair originally. Now this will sound a little different, but it won't have that dead sound that that it had when we had the original damage. We're out here on the very, very tip of the blade, and the very, very tip of the blade sounds different than it does, say, down here. We're getting a nice tap. We're not getting a dull sounding dead tap, so it's a good repair. So now I'm going to mask this area and get it ready for paint. So I've masked the area that I don't want to paint. Remember to mask the leading edge. It's easy to forget. And then I'm going to use, this is 400 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to use this just to lightly scuff the surface I intend to paint. Then I'll wipe the area off with the alcohol. It's another nice thing about using the alcohol is it doesn't really attack the adhesive on the masking tape, which is a plus. Some touch-up paint. This is touch-up paint that we have a vendor can up for us at Hartzell. There's another product that's available commercially that you can buy on the internet. Both the Hartzell part number and the commercial product are listed in our manuals. They're in the Hartzell owners' manuals themselves, and they're in manual 170 as well. I'm just going to shake it up. You'll see that after this first initial coat, I've got some areas where the paint's fairly thin. This isn't a problem. You just need to wait for this paint to dry and then apply a second coat, and so on until the voided areas are covered completely. This is my original white tip stripe that was on the blade when before I started the repairs. And it's still in fine shape. I haven't touched it. I haven't bothered it during any of my repairs. So I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to mask it. This black area I previously painted, so I'm going to mask that area off as well. And I'll paint this last white tip stripe.
Cut it there and then just.
So I've masked off the good tip stripe and the black tip stripe that I repaired. Now I'm ready to do my final white tip stripe. Once again, this is white touch-up paint in a spray can. This is canned up for Hartzell. There's a commercial spray can that's available. You can purchase on the internet. And once again, you can always use the regular factory specified paint that we use during manufacture or during an overhaul. Give this, right now you can still see the repair. There's some other areas out here that need a little bit of attention. But once we paint this several times, it'll look good as new. It's just going to take several coats, time and patience. This paint sprays on fairly thinly, and it is white, so coverage is an issue. But after 3 or 4 coats, this will look just like brand new. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's done something to dispel some of the fears you may have had about working on composite bladed propellers. As you can see, the repairs aren't particularly difficult, and with a little bit of practice, you can perform them in your shop. And if you happen to run into trouble, you can always give us a call here at Hartzell or send us an email. Thanks again for watching.
For more information about Hartzell composite propeller repairs, we invite you to contact Hartzell Product Support. Call 800-942-7767 and then option number 3, or visit us online at hartzellprop.com.